Hey dudes, CI here. So Marcus's video last week asked a lot of cool questions about America. The one that intrigued me the most was when he asked about transportation in America. Can you get everywhere with mass transportation? Can you get everywhere with trains? How does it work here? It was a really interesting question because it brings to mind a point about America that not a lot of people really understand. America is friggin' huge. It's not the biggest country in the world, but it's in the discussion. I think it might be number 3, number 4. I've seen a lot of it, and let me tell you, it's just plain old big. You know who else sees a lot of America? My soccer team, the Portland Timbers. And they don't see a lot of America by choice. They see a lot of America because they have to go places and play games. Last season, I wrote an article about it, and I went back to look at it, and I've changed a few things to compare it to Austria. So let's do this. It's a little comparison between our soccer league and your soccer league. Now, let's say the Portland Timbers weren't in America's top soccer league. Let's say they were in Austria's top league, the Bundesliga. Now, who are the current champions there? FC Salzburg. Now, if the Portland Timbers were FC Salzburg, all our games would be in Austria, of course. Here's a map showing where the teams are, and as you can see, Salzburg's pretty close to the center of Austria, which helps with travel. I believe our longest road trip would be to Altach, which is a distance of approximately 216 miles. That's basically a trip from Portland to Seattle. Seattle's the closest team to us. That's our closest game. If we were in Austria, Salzburg to Altach would be our longest trip of the entire year. Travel is something that Austrian teams just don't have to worry about. Major League Soccer teams here in the United States, you bet we have to worry about it. Here's a look. Let's take a look at a road trip Portland took last year. I changed the order a little, but trust me, Portland played all these games within a 1-month span. It was brutal. It's probably the toughest stretch of the entire season. And we start with a game in Denver. That's a 1,200-mile flight for the Portland Timbers. For the FC Salzburg Red Bulls, it's a trip to Finland. You fly to Finland, you play a game, you sleep in a hotel, then you fly back to Salzburg the next morning. Now, a week later, Portland had a game in Houston. That's 2,200 miles. That's Salzburg to Iraq. Iraq. Then you fly home the next day. Hope you're not too tired because you've got a midweek game. Fortunately, it's at home. But don't get comfortable because 2 days later it's back on a plane and you're flying Portland to Toronto. That's 2,500 miles. That's Salzburg to Western Sahara. Yes, we've made it to Africa. Then, you guessed it, we fly home the next morning. Then, oh, such a blessing, we get an entire week off before loading everyone onto the plane again and flying Portland to Montreal. 2,800 miles. If we were FC Salzburg, that's a trip to Kazakhstan. I swear to God, Kazakhstan. Now that's insane. The Portland Timbers really did that. That really happened over the course of a month last year. So what can we take from this? Well, one, the European leagues are definitely better than the American League, but they don't have travel like this. Their players can focus on soccer, not sitting on a plane. But the bigger takeaway here, America is friggin' huge. Our size affects our sports, our economy. It has affected our history. It affects our presence. It will affect our future. Our size affects us in ways most countries just can't understand. You can't understand it until you've lived it. If someone from another country was coming to America for a vacation and wanted advice on what they should do, I'm not sure I'd tell them go to Disneyland or New York or Washington, D.C. or the Grand Canyon. Those are all great, of course. But if somebody really wanted to get a sense of America, I think I'd tell them to rent a car and drive from one side of the country to the other. It wouldn't take a day. It would take a week. America is friggin' huge. All right, guys. I'll see you next week.